Can you guys hear me now? How is our audio doing? Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. We're live, but not live. All right, David, thank you so much. It looks like there was a Streamlabs update that I wasn't aware of, and it had somehow muted my mic in the internal settings. So we should be good to go now. Excellent, excellent. Sweet. So we've been here for a minute, getting these audios tested out, worked out. Should be live, and here we got reports that we can be heard, so that's good. Got some exciting things to talk about tonight. Obviously, we got the Pentashield to talk about tonight. We got our last week's print to talk about tonight about the Crafty Kid 3D Spartan Head that we printed out. Turned out great. Got some stories to talk about there. As you can see, we're printing out a full build plate here with the Pentashield on of Gridfinity Bins by K2 Kevin. So we got that to talk about. David, yes, do you see that we have the Pentashield? Got yours this week, but we'll install this weekend. It's actually pretty straightforward. We'll go over that. I don't know what backer number you are, but we're 290. We're in the 290s, and I saw on there on the forums that there were some difficulties for some people, but we'll go over that in just a minute. We're gonna let a few more people get in here if they want. We got some new pretzels to eat tonight. I'm not sure how I feel about them, but we'll test them out. Got some prints to talk about here that we've printed on this machine. We're super excited about. And there's a question that maybe you guys can help me out about getting this Pentashield all squared away, and something that I accidentally did to my printer, not knowing. So maybe I can help you guys out and keep you from making the mistake that I did, so it doesn't cost you half a build plate. But without further ado, we will get into tonight's episode. And let's see here. So first off, let's talk about last week's print that we were doing. We were trying to print off this Spartan Head by Crafty Kid 3D. Put it a little bit closer here for you guys to see. It failed halfway through because it got stuck around the spool holder. Obviously, that spool holder is now moved to this back side, and it actually looks like it's in a better way to print. But so we restarted after 3/4 of a roll of filament, and here we are. I meant to grab my headphones. Hold on a second, so you guys can see what this looks like. I had to scale it down by 85 to 85% of what a normal size it would be, because it still is too big for this printer, even though it's a rather large printer. But here is my Turtle Beach, or our Turtle Beach headphones here. So we've got that. Those, if it was printed fully, it would look pretty nice on there. So what we did is we had to order another roll of filament. I started this and I thought I had an extra roll of the screen, so it got about to the same amount, the same height, and then I realized, oops, I actually don't have an extra roll of this filament, so I had to order another roll, and it took 2 days to get here. So it sat on the printer for 2 days, 2 whole days, just chilling there. So it turned out pretty good. I was pretty impressed, especially with having to be on the build plate for that long without, anything helping it out. So here it is next to each other. You can see how much, about what part it failed. Turned out pretty good. I'm pretty excited. Again, you can see where the filament kind of sat for a little while, right here in the nose piece. It's just a tiny little line. If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even notice it. But it turned out great. Some of the supports that I could have done a little bit better on was the bottom of the eyes here. So, or the helmet eyepiece here. But this turned out great, and I cannot wait to put that on there. I can't wait to be able to display this on our display tables at the craft fairs that we go to. It turned out fantastic. So let me turn off the printer cam here real quick for 2 seconds so you guys can get a great shot at it. So it's quite the epic Spartan head. I thought about trying to do multicolor on this once this gets the chroma kit. Do maybe just this top part and some sort of a color, maybe white for Spartans for Michigan State. But that's how that turned out. It is beautiful, glossy, no layer lines. The only issue we had, and it was my own fault, that it sat for a little while and had that one little line on it where they had to resume, and it wasn't the printer's fault. It resumed right where it's supposed to. It just, I think a little bit of moisture had built up there, so it just had that one little spot on the nose piece. But that turned out fantastic. So what we've been printing after that is we've been printing some of these Gridfinity bins. I tested 1 and 2 on the build plate just to see how the bed adhesion would go without the Pentashield, because we only got that on Monday. So these adhered pretty well. I printed the drawers on our Centauri carbons because I wanted to see if the what is it called? If there would be any tolerance differences between the two machines, but no, they fit in nicely. We're printing these for our craft fair that's coming up here in September, end of September. So if you're gonna be in Michigan and Pentwater, check us out there on the 27th. These turned out really good. The overhangs printed out very well. I was very, very impressed. And we're still doing some more on here. Now I'm maxing out the build plate. Those are printing beautifully, no lifting. And I wanted to test out the max build plate with as max height as I can. So these should be about 50% done right now. So they got a little bit more to go, but they're gonna be pretty good when we're done. So I wanted to print PLA first before we get into Pet G, and David says, nice print. Thanks, David. I really appreciate that. We worked pretty hard on that. I see you have the pen. Yeah, okay, I saw that one. We were printing these so that we can have them for our display bins for our Hatchy Pals. That you can see some of those in our shorts that we've done. But I wanted to do the PLA max build before we move on to the Pet G, because I want to test that theory of when we go and do the Pet G on the Arco for that, because when we did it but without the Pentashield, we had a lot of lifting problems and bed adhesion problems. We couldn't get anything other than Elegoo, or I couldn't get anything other than Elegoo's Rapid PLA to stick to the build plate. And I was wondering, because if it was cooling down too fast, if there wasn't like the ambient temperature correct. So hopefully we will be able to get this print finished, and then next week when we get on live, I'll be able to show you a bunch of Pet G that's on the build plate. I have some black Pet G that I'll probably do the same Gridfinity bins, maybe a little bit bigger ones, taller. So that way you guys can see that the adhesion's doing well. And it's brand new rolls of Pet G that are not even opened up out of the package yet, so I know they should be dry. So that shouldn't be an issue on that as well. But most importantly, got new pretzels to try out. Today, we've got Pop Daddy pretzels, the birthday cake flavor pretzel sticks. I don't know how I feel about, first of all, I don't know how I feel about sweet pretzels, let alone birthday cake flavored pretzels, but let's try them out. Again, Pop Daddy. These are, I think you can get these at Walmart. Let's get these out of the way, or get this out of the way here. Looks like we had a little bit of a shadow being cast by that door. They smell like ice cream. That's That's weird. Good, but weird. um, Last week we did a survey about once we get the chroma kit, we're gonna print our first pretzel on the Frozen Arco. But whoa, um, I'm surprised. I didn't think I'd like sweet pretzels, but they're sweet and salty. I know they usually go good together, like trail mix and stuff. But okay, um, I guess I know what I'm eating when my sweet tooth acts up. Acts up. This tastes like caramel corn. That's what these taste like to me. Caramel corn or caramel corn. Tons of sugar in this. Serving size is, there's 8 servings in this bag, and every serving you have, wow, that's actually not a whole lot, considering 5 grams of sugars. 4 of them are added. I would have thought that was more, being how sweet they are. We got our sparkling ice water here, lemon lime flavor to wash it down with. Kind of tastes like Sprite or Starry if you're a Pepsi fan. But so getting into the Frozen Arco's Pentashield, a couple of things, if you haven't put yours on yet, that you should take note. When you go to put the front door hinges on, make sure before you put the hinges on, test your screws out to see if they're threaded. Same thing with the door magnets. Make sure you try the screws out first before you put them on there to see that they're threaded. There are some reports out there on the Frozen's backer Facebook page that the early Kickstarters didn't have those threaded in there. And something that I ran into that I should make you guys aware of is that when you go to do this, one, don't do what I did. I did it. Don't do it. I didn't turn my machine off. I wound up turning it off anyways, but it's dangerous. Try, if you got a big print going on, just let it finish and then turn your machine off and follow directions as usual. One thing I will say for those of you that still haven't put your Pentashield on, when you finish, run a calibration on your machine and a bed leveling, because I didn't think about it. I'm not sure if the directions said it to or not. I was so excited by the end of it. It turned out so good. I ran a print on it and I didn't notice until later. One, it ruined one of my nozzles, and you only have 3 from the Kickstarter. So I'm down a nozzle, traded it out. Now I'm in the high flow nozzle, which is turning out pretty great. But 2, you can't see it on this side, but the other side of my build plate, the nozzle just scraped and scraped and scraped the texture off of it. So definitely run your calibrations and your bed leveling before you start your very next print. I would do the bed leveling first and then a calibration second. So be on the lookout for that. I'll cover it again a little bit later. But on to the positives of this experience. Oh my word, this looks clean. Please ignore if you see any of the kitty cat paw prints on any of the glass. When I was putting this together, they all wanted to know what it was. It was new, and they're like, "Ooh, what's this?" But it is clean. Something I'm not sure if I did right or not. I know it's plugged into the right spot, but I'm not sure why my fan on the back of the Pentashield is not working yet. It's plugged in. I don't know why it's not kicked off yet. Maybe it's not gotten hot enough. I don't know. I also haven't updated to the newest firmware yet because I do not have that chroma kit. I've read on the forums that if you do, then it could possibly brick your machine, which means kaput, but without the chroma kit attached to the machine. Let's see, we got some comments here. David's asking, does the Pentashield have a vent at the top, or do you have to leave the door open for PLA? It does appear to like it has some sort of vent at the top. I don't know if I can show it to you guys. It's about this big by that big. Right now, it's got some sort of screws in it. I'm guessing that it's going to interface with, yeah, it's got some sort of hex screws in it. I'm guessing it's gonna interface with the chroma kit somehow. But more importantly, David, you're not gonna have to worry about opening the door because this beauty has hydraulics on it. Look at this thing. It just opens right up. It locks like that. Doesn't affect anything on your going on with your printer other than almost pulling out my power cord because my cord's a little shorter than I'd like. You can keep printing. Your spool stays on there. It turns out nice. I'm gonna do this real quick. There we go. Now I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that thing. This is the first printer I've ever had want to do this, and I am very, very happy about that. I think if you want to work on your printer head, you raise it all the way up, and you can work at, shoulder height, and you're not bending over in your printers like if I have to work on the Bamboos or Centauri Carbon. That's a little bit of a pain. But that, you can open that up, and you'll get as much venting on there as you want. I will say, I'm imagining at some point somebody will go in and, yes, the spool holder is in the back. Andrew, welcome. Good to see you. I was one of those that the screws on the door weren't tapped. Yeah, mine were tapped, thankfully. It was probably a little bit of a pain that they weren't tapped. I heard that some of the people used a bigger screw and just scrunched it in there. Or you can go to like your local not hobby store, but like your local hardware store like Lowe's or Home Depot and get an M4 tap and get that in there. But I will say at some point in time, I'm going to say that someone is going to design like a TPU gasket for the top, because there is probably off the top of my head, 4mm gap that's between the Pentashield and the, I should say, between the orange and black part. There's a little bit of a gap because it rests on some pads and the way that the hinges line up. You had an M4 tap and that worked? Okay, good. I'm glad that you got that taken care of, Andrew. I can imagine that would be a little bit of a discouragement for those that didn't have the tap screws. As far as, I see the spool holder is in the back now. The side mount was weird feeding in the filament, so that's a plus until we get the chroma kit. David says, if your back fan isn't coming on, I know for my K2 Plus, it only comes on once the chamber hits 35C when printing PLA. It might be that. I think it could be that. It could also be, like I said, that because I haven't updated to the latest firmware, maybe there's a G code in there that it triggers it. It's very possible. But one thing I will say, when you guys install your chroma kits, save that little PTFE tube coupler. Not necessarily the thing it attaches into, but I used mine and I put the coupler on the outside so it doesn't retract the PTFE tube into the print area, so it keeps it from going in there, and then you have to fish the tube back out. I had that happen, and it was a little rough, and then I just put it on there. But this is amazing. I will say that my door is super snug. Play around with the hinges on your door once you get it on there. Loosen some up and get your door to align as best you can. Mine is super, super tight. I'll show you here in just a second that when you close it, there's no play. It almost rubs right here a little bit. What I did is I took my Allen wrench tool and I loosened these up, and I lifted the door up just outside here before I closed it all the way so it wouldn't rub as much. And then I tightened it down once I got it in the spot, I tightened it down, and then it seems to be okay. It's very tight, but it's okay. I've seen that some folks can't get their doors to shut. I imagine that maybe Phrozen will come out with another set of hinges you can print that will adjust that height just a little bit. Andrew says you can enable it under the filament cooling exhaust fan. Also, you can turn it on with the touchscreen. Really? Let's see. That'll actually be able to tell us if. Let's see here. Maybe I might not be able. Fan speed. Mm, printing speed, cooling, auxiliary fan. No, that's just for the head. I think it's, yeah, I don't have the option to, so I think it's because I don't have the latest firmware yet. So that's okay. Extruder flow, yep. I definitely gonna say it's probably because I haven't updated my firmware yet. I don't know if I want to do that until I get that chroma kit. It looks like some of them are going out to the other backers now. So we're doing good things there. I'll probably do a little bit more research before I make that leap into that update, just because I've seen on the Facebook page that some people are having issues with their firmware update and not having that chroma kit on there. What version of the firmware? Andrew says I'm on 1.77. Let's see. I'll find out. I think I'm on 1.6. Not under tools. I believe it's under. I might not be able to see until after. Yeah, I don't think I can see until after it's done. Well, maybe I can see on the GUI interface or the fluid interface. Let's see. Open up Orca Slicer. I'm very glad that uh, Phrozen has decided to go with Orca Slicer for this. I was really hoping they weren't going to make another. I knew they were going to try to make another fork of it with Picks-Up Slicer, but I would hate for all these printer companies to make their own forks and then have to have their own updates, and then the main fork of Orca Slicer is just, it wouldn't be very good to the 3D printing community. So props to Phrozen backing the mainstream of Orca Slicer. All right, let's go to the device. Let's see. System. I'm under the System tab in Orca Slicer, and I don't see my firmware information. I can see if maybe it's on another tab. History. No, not G-code. Console. I don't need a console. Home. It would have been nice to see that right on the home tab. Maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe you guys have got an answer for me. Nope, not yet. So I'll make sure to look at that before our next live stream. I don't think I can have access to that right now. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's showing me underneath any of the tabs on Orca Slicer. These are really good pretzels. Props to you, Abby. These are really good pretzels. Wow. I think they make you thirstier than normal pretzels do, too. I feel like I'm at the beach though after I pull my hand back out of that bag. Yeah, those are really good. I gotta close that bag up or I'm gonna eat the whole thing and not follow the recommended serving size. But so the Pentashield, I'm a big fan of. It definitely adds some height to your machine though. That orange section you can see up here, that adds a good 4 to 5 inches to your machine, and then also the clearance that you're gonna need for the top. And if I'm not mistaken, uh, Dave Walton, are you printing drawers? Uh, right now I'm printing the Gridfinity Bins. I don't know if you can see it here or not, but the drawers will be the next thing I print. I usually print them on my other machines just so I get the most amount of bang for my buck if I print as many of the bins as I can. These are made by K2 Kevin. They're excellent. Let me grab those off of his Maker World profile real quick for you guys. I'm a big fan of those. So this is his profile. You guys can see a bunch of he's got a lot of cool things on there, from desk organizers to uh, printer upgrades. There's a lot of cool things that he's put out there. I'm very thankful that he's done that. David, yes, I would recommend. I'm printing them in PLA right now, but I'm probably going to switch most of them over to PETG once I know that this machine can handle PETG on this build plate with the Pentashield. Uh, just because they have a little bit more heat tolerance, because I got to have them outside at times with the going to the craft fairs and stuff. But we're doing pretty good. I'm gonna move the chat box real quick so it looks like it's over my noggin. But we're in the middle of doing some studio upgrades down here in the lab, putting in some new lights. Got some good things going on. David, I can partly answer that question for you about why not to update the 1.7.9. It is because of the chroma kit. It looks like, from what I've read on the forums on that launch Facebook page, if you don't have the chroma kit, it can, like, I want to say, freeze your machine. I know that Frozen's customer service has been working with some people to get their machines back up and running and back to that other firmware, but it can cause some damage to your machine. Don't upgrade to 1.7.9 until you have that chroma kit. Definitely follow those directions. I'm not upgrading mine until I get that chroma kit. We are functioning. I have no issues, so I'll upgrade that as soon as the chroma kit gets here. You have a chroma. Oh, or no, I see it is typo. Dang, you got me excited. I was hoping you had a chroma kit. I wanted to know all about that thing. 4 filaments. Uh, I'm interested to see in what they're gonna, how they're gonna get the 4 PTFE tubes into one. I know they're gonna go through that, probably that top part. But what else? What other clearance does that? What other clearance does that have? So accessories, chroma kit. I want to see how tall this chroma kit is too, because if it's as tall or taller than the bamboo AMSs, I'm gonna max out my my height here pretty quick. So let's see. There should be a dimensions on the website. Huh. Specifications. There we go. Product dimension. That doesn't help me. 364 millimeters by 306 by 250. I'm guessing the 250 is the depth. It is supposed to have drying. Drying for PLA, PETG, ABS, ASA, PA, and PET. It says supported colors 4, expandable up to 7 to 8. I wonder how that's going to work. I really wonder how that will work. Put the printer on the floor. No, what I'll probably do. David, you're funny. I can't put my brand new printer on the floor. I feel like that's sacrilegious. But the shelves that I have for the B-Roar system, that's why I like them so much. I can raise them up or lower them. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably lower this top shelf or wherever it decides to go. I think next week I probably will have it behind me. I want to get a camera mount for one of these poles, and I'll probably put it here and slide the bamboos or the Centauri carbons over, so that way I got some symmetrical stuff going on here. Hey, Iceman74, good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a minute. We're on here with the Pentashield. If you're just joining us, thanks for joining. We got the oddly weird but good Pop Daddy Pretzels birthday cake flavor. They're very sweet, salty, and when you stick your hand in the bag, it's like you went to the beach because you get plenty of sugar crystals with them. Those are good. We got our Crafty Kid 3D headphone holder, Spartan Head, printed out successfully. That turned out amazing. We're maxed out the build plate again with the Pentashield on to make sure nothing's changed. We can still print in PLA with the full build plate. Printing out some Gridfinity Bins by K2 Kevin. We didn't change any of the stock settings. I will say, Iceman74, have you got your Pentashield yet? Have you installed it? Man, those pretzels are good. Really good. Because if you've not gotten your Pentashield yet, a couple of things you should note is one, there's a couple of places on the door area, the hinges and the magnet area for where you put the screws in. If you're an early backer, your screw holes may not be fully tapped. You may have to get an M4 tap and get those tapped in. Second thing you should note is this top of the Pentashield does lift up. It's pretty fantastic. Make sure that when you go to install this Pentashield that you do have your printer turned off. Oh, there's something I forgot to mention earlier. When you're going to hook up the connectors in the back of your machine, if you only see one connector port, don't be fooled. There is a second one. You just have to fish it out of the machine base. It's I was like, I've got two connectors, but only one connector prong to plug them into. I'm like, this can't be right. So I had to take my flashlight on my phone out, and I looked down and into the machine, and it was in there. I do not, but I do have the printer. Okay. So for the Frozen or the Pentashield, if you install the Pentashield, please run a bed leveling first and then run a calibration second, because if you don't, you'll get what happened to me. I didn't do it, and the underside of this build plate is totally washed. It scraped the texture right off of it and ruined the nozzle, excuse me, on it. So don't be like me, do better. But this is doing really well. We're testing out the PLA on here to make sure we can still use the full build plate before next week we move on to PETG and see if we can get a little bit better of adhesion. Now we have a controlled environment. A couple of questions earlier. Does it have a vent on the top? Yes, it does, of sorts. Right now it's covered with a plexiglass plate. I believe that's where the chroma kit's going to sit. but you can open the top up and vent it that way. It also makes working on it much easier if you need to work on the print head. It's right there at your level. Uh, Andrew Krabs says, also, it's easier to plug those cables in before you screw on the back plate. 2 people helps. Yes, I will agree with that. Even the directions say if you have 2 people, to please use 2 people. I didn't, so I had to like finagle it a little bit. Thankfully, I don't know who thought of this at Frozen, but it was a genius idea for 2 reasons. Uh, the idea is that they didn't, I don't know if your guys' screws were magnetic, but the screws that I use that were on here with the system seemed to be magnetic. They stuck to my screwdriver, so that was super helpful. But also because of where the Z-axis rods are and there's that hold on there, when I dropped the freaking screw in there, I could get it back out with my screwdriver. And my screwdrivers don't magnetize to any other metal screws, so I know it has to be those screws. Absolutely ingenious idea. Super happy about that. Made the installation a little less frustrating when I dropped a screw down in those Z-axis holes. Hoping that Frozen will maybe come out with something we can print, or somebody in the community will design that so we can cover up those holes, because those are going to be a frustration point, especially when you get fails and spaghetti that go in there. But also, when you go to install your lower magnet on your door, actually, before you do anything, before you shut off your machine, before you do anything, but even before you shut it off, raise your flying gantry up to at least halfway. Because if you don't, you're going to have to turn your machine back on, because it requires the camera to be taken off or at least moved in order to get your magnets or to get to your screw holes for your door magnets. That was a pain. David says, I'm surprised they didn't put out a video on how to put the shield on. Yeah, me too. Because there were some QR codes that you can scan on the printer head about how to unbox it and install the printer. So it would have been nice if it was maybe on either the door or one of the panels, a QR code you could scan right straight to the video. That would have been helpful. I agree. But it's turned out pretty good. I'm very impressed. I see that the door is closed on the printer. Let me open that back up so you guys can see what's going on in there. Just noticed that it is slightly tinted. It's kind of, if you have any of the Elegoo Centauri carbons, it's about the same tinting as that. I'm not sure why these printer brands are deciding to tint the front panel. I personally would have appreciated if the tinting was on the side panels. Just for time-lapse purposes, it would have made it nicer to have the tinting for time-lapse videos. David says, you have to move the camera. Is that what you said? If you move your gantry before you do your installation to half height, at least half height, I would think. Yeah, half height, you won't have to undo your camera. Because of the way the camera sits, if your gantry is in the lower position, it will be in the way of your screws. So I undid my camera, and then I put the screws in, and I re-screwed the camera back in because I had already turned off my machine. Raise your gantry up halfway before you do your installation, and it will make not only those screw holes to go in easier, but also when you put the bottom screws in for your side panels. That's something I wish they would have put in the instructions to, before you turn off your printer, raise your gantry up so that way you can get to the screw holes that you need to get to. I think there's 3 on each side at the bottom, and if you don't have it raised up minimum a third of the way up, you won't be able to get the Allen wrench tool in there to put it in. Andrew says, I didn't have to move the camera. agree with moving the gantry up. I didn't, and getting the bottom screw in for the magnet was very difficult. Yeah, it was very difficult. I removed the camera in order to make it a little easier on myself. I was getting a little frustrated. I was like, why can't I get this in there? And then I realized that once I took the camera apart and then put it back on, it made it much easier. So if you don't move your gantry before you start and you get to that point, uh, you can do the route that I did and took the camera off, but you're still going to wind up having to move your gantry anyways because of the side panels. You won't be able to get to the screws unless you have some sort of like super long Allen wrench. Iceman 74. So you can print with the door closed. Yeah, it should be. It was printing earlier. So it doesn't cause any issues. It seems to be that there's plenty of clearance. Um, I don't have I don't have it loaded extremely to the front of the build plate. So maybe my next test print, I'll print with the door closed and uh, with it all the way as forward on the build plate as I can. If you don't print with the door, I'm curious if there is an issue with that. I wonder what happens when it hits the glass, because that is versus the sides are plexiglass. The front is uh, hardened glass. So, but as far as I'm seeing right now, I'm not having any issues with the printer head hitting the glass door. It's obviously this open, but when I had it closed earlier, it wasn't hitting. I did check the holes in the front of the printer are tapped. All right, I'm glad to hear that, David. So you don't have to get M4 tabs. I think they must have realized that error somewhere in like the backer 200 or something like that. I'd be curious to where that number lined up, but it's turning out great. I'm really, really happy with this printer. The build volume is so nice. It's still quiet. It's even quieter than it was before with that Pentashield on. And most importantly, it is now enclosed. So now I can trust it a little bit more with our furry management team down here. David Walton said that I was backer 250 something. Okay. So if yours were tapped, I was 291, 292, I don't know, somewhere in there. Mine were tapped as well. So I'm guessing somewhere in the 200s they realized, oops, we didn't tap those out, so let's get that taken care of. Hope they tune the profile better. This doesn't even touch the speed of the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. LOL. I agree. It is definitely slower. I'm guessing once they get all this stuff rolled out to everybody, they'll probably fine tune it. I don't know if I want to increase it any faster, but I could. Let's see. James Lechner says I was 57 and mine were tapped. Then I don't know. I don't know why that some were and some weren't then. That's weird. I wonder if maybe it was just an error with some of the machining in the factory. I'd be curious to know what caused that. Welcome, James. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the live stream. We're chilling out with our Phrozen Arco, printing good things on there. If you guys haven't installed your Pentashield yet, save that little filament PTFE tube coupler. I don't remember the directions saying this, but I put mine on the outside of the hole where the PTFE tube goes in, and I put the PTFE tube extender back on it because I didn't want my filament tube retracting back into the printer. So it's doing pretty good. I'm gonna eat some of these salty pretzels I have here now. We're still trying to polish off this Dots Southwestern blend pretzels. We're getting down to the bottom of the bag. Man, Now that is a contrast. Huh. Iceman74 says, I just checked, mine are tap 2. Awesome. I'm glad to see that you guys have your screw holes are tapped in. Again, if you're just joining us, some of the screw holes on your frame of the Phrozen Arco might not be tapped in for this door frame system. So check that before you start. So that way you can get the proper M4 taps from Lowe's or Home Depot, one of your hardware stores. It sounds like it's a hit or miss type thing. I will say, when you go to do the door, it's a tight fit. Get your door on there and then adjust your hinges. It'll make it close a little bit smoother, because when I first put it on there, mine was rubbing really, really bad on the bottom. And then I lifted it up a little bit and adjusted the hinges and played with it a little bit, and it closes better. Closes really tight now, but it's not scraping anymore. The coupler fits in the rubber grommet. Oh, I can't show you, but I left the rubber grommet on mine as well, so that way it doesn't go through the top of the Pentashield. And I do like the colors of this Frozen Arco, black and orange. You know, that's kind of our thing. I am working on getting stickers out to you guys. If you want a sticker, send me an email to thegloriousgeeks01@gmail.com, and I'll get you guys a sticker for tuning into the live stream. I'll put that in the. There's the email for you guys. Just as a thank you for tuning into the live stream, I appreciate you guys getting us out there into the good old stream of the YouTube algorithm. So we're doing some good things. Andrew Kropp says the rubber grommet goes in the center of the coupler, if that makes sense. Wait, so like where I have the PTFE2 floating through there right now, that's supposed to go in the middle, huh? So Iceman74 says, so you are using the Frozen Orca or the actual Orca? I'm using actual Orca, and I upgraded mine with the profile that Orca or Frozen provided. I went straight to their GitHub and got Frozen, or got the Orca slicer. David Walton, at least YouTube notified me tonight that the stream started. Oh, it didn't notify you last week, David? Andrew says, yep. Okay. So whenever this print is finished, I'm going to change that rubber grommet around and put that in the center there. Take care of that. Appreciate that tip, Andrew. James, I am finally able to print ABS and ASA perfectly with the PS. The chamber holds the heat from the build plate when I set the plate to temp 105. Wow. That's impressive. 105 degrees Celsius, you can get the plate up to. David, I'm sorry you missed last week's live stream. Were you able to go back and watch it? Or was it available to watch? Do you know? James, with ASA, you have, because I don't have any experience with ASA. You have to have the heat bed, the heat plate heated that much? David said, I remember Thursday and watched it. Thank you, David. I really appreciate that. That really helps out the getting us monetized and getting us going on that algorithm. Once we get to not 1,000 subscribers, and I think it's 3,000 watch hours, we can get our merchandise store up and going on here on the YouTube platform. David says never printed with ASA, started with ABS, and then moved to PLA. You started with ABS? Wow. I definitely started with PLA, and then I went to ABS, and then I realized that, and this was back when I didn't have an enclosed printer. I was having some serious bed adhesion issues with ABS, and I got discouraged with it. And I went back to PLA, and then I gradually made my way up to PETG. Andrew says, James, do you have to vent ASA? Heard the fumes can be nasty. Yeah, I know with ABS, you definitely have to. When I first tried playing around with that material out in the garage when I lived in Florida, I had an overnight print going on a couple machines for ABS, and I walked out there the next day, and oh my word, I could hardly breathe. So definitely make sure you vent your materials out if it's not PLA. PETG is like as far as I would go without ventilation, and even that is, I still have some sort of ventilation up here with the power vent that we have up there. James says yes, they are not nice, but I have a ventilated area. Yeah, I can imagine. I remember the ABS, and it was very intense. It almost looks like this fan that's on the back of this one. You could almost mount a I want to say some sort of adapter for the 4-inch vent hose, and I bet that would work perfectly if you wanted to vent this machine out. So it turned out pretty good. I'm going to open this door up just a little bit more so that way it's not looking so funny on the camera. But if you're just now joining us on the live stream, we've been testing out the Phrozen Arco since we got it about, I want to say 2 months ago now. We did a bunch of different things on the printer. We did mostly in PLA. Then we moved to PETG, and we were having some adhesion issues with most of the PETGs from different brands. The one we did get to stick was from Elegoo. It was the Rapid PLA PETG White. That stuck pretty good. My theory was that since it wasn't in a closed machine, the environment was playing a factor. So now we're making sure that we can still print on the full build plate with PLA first, so that we don't have any adhesion issues. And then next week we will upgrade again, try again with PETG to make sure that, excuse me, we're able to print in PETG before we get the Chroma Kit. Because I got some cool things that I print on our other printers for PETG in multicolor, and I would love, 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 love to be able to print them bigger and cooler. And I think this machine will be able to do it once we get the Chroma Kit. Like some of our articulated dragons that we've done. I'm printing one now that Cinderwing 3D just released. Nightwing is, I believe what she called it. I'm doing that in 3 different types of PETG. That's turning out pretty good. I'm doing it in a purple gradient from Strong Hero 3D, another and 2 other different one other different blue purple gradient, and then also some sparkle PETG that has some glitter involved in it. So I'll have that up here for you guys next week. It's going to be one of our giveaways that we're going to do for our art fair coming up next weekend. If you live in Michigan, come check us out in Pentwater. We're going to be doing their fall festival art fair, so we're super excited about that. We're going to try to raise some funds so we can get our hands on some of those new printers coming out. I'm torn. I know we're talking about the Phrozen Arco, and I love this machine. Don't get me wrong. I am going to print and print and print and print and print on this. But where the industry is going is eliminating that filament waste, because it's a lot. Even with some of the prints that I'm doing on this machine, I'm wasting 200 grams of filament trying to do multicolor. If we can get rid of that waste and the time it adds to it for each color change, that's the goal. So a couple machines that are out there right now that are doing that, we have the Snapmaker U1, which ends at the end of the month, I believe, with their Kickstarter. They have the 4 tool head changer, and then we got wind that Bamboo is going to do their H2C. That one's probably going to have a hefty price tag on it. So we're going to go out there and get our nose to the grindstone. And this month we're going to do an art fair, and then in November we'll do another art fair. So that way we can garner some funds and getting some new devices going here. So we can keep on keeping on with the hobby. We love our 3D printers. And also maybe get some more upgrades here in the studio. We got some recessed lighting going in that'll help with the illumination of the cameras and stuff. Iceman74 says, I can't wait to get my U1. I know. So here's where you guys can help me on this. David Walton says, Snapmaker U1 looks cool, and it looks like the Prusa is going with the INDX for the Core 1. David Walton also says, me too, Iceman. You guys are hyped for that U1. You know the H2C will be close to 3K, sadly. Yes, so that is my dilemma. So I'm sure the H2C is going to be a lot. I'm guessing probably 2,000. At the very bare minimum, if you don't get it with the laser, if you don't get, I have AMSs, so I don't need an AMS to go with it. Hey, Bamboo, if you're listening, you can send me one. I will not turn it away. But the Snapmaker U1 is the more affordable, but it only does 4 colors. But what I'm noticing is for the price that you're probably going to pay for the Bamboo H2C, you can get 2, maybe, if not 3 Snapmaker U1s. And it's the same problem that, everyone has, quantity versus quality. I know the ecosystem behind Bamboo, as I have 3 P1Ss, is great. Maker World is great. There are some drawbacks, they are very closed when it comes to modifications and stuff for the printers. Even like the Pandanomi is barely functionable right now on our printers. They have to be in land mode to operate it. But then, the P1Ss just work. Like, there are a few things I have to upgrade. I had to upgrade to hardened steel extruders if I want to print with glow filament or wood filament. But then you can also go with the U1, and you get more printers that can do more multicolor. I don't usually print more than 4 colors, so I can do that. But if I want to, I have all these AMSs that I can print in more than 4 colors, so I don't know which way to go. Let me catch up with some of these comments here. If it's an upgrade for the H2D, there's no question. David, what do you mean if there's an upgrade for the H2D? I know that there's supposed to be some sort of kit, but what do you mean there is no question? Like, are you going to go with the H2C upgrade if they have one for it? Is that the way you're leaning? David also says there is the Wonder Maker that was on Kickstarter that should come out by the end of this year. Same four-head tool changer, just bigger than the U1. I know the U1 is at 270 millimeters. That's right in between these 2 printers. So it's a bigger printer, but I think the H2C is going to be somewhere in the 300 range, or right around the size of this printer, of the Phrozen Arco. Iceman74, I have 2 P1Ss and never use them anymore. I got bored with them. You have 2 P1Ss and you never use them anymore? I mean, if you're looking for a donation cause, I'm just kidding. More cost, so closer to 3K. David, what do you mean by more cost? You think the tool head changer is going to be, or that the nozzle changer is they're going to charge that much extra for it? I'm guessing, let's look at that printer real quick, bamboolab.com. So the H2D, I'm going to look at right now, products, H2 series. So the H2D with the AMS combo is $22.99, and then if you get it without the HDD or without the AMS combo, it's $19.99. So are you thinking it's gonna be three K? Wow. I can't do the math right now, but how many U1s could you buy with 3K? I think like what? Four at least? Ah, four. That's uh that's the dilemma. If it's that much, I don't know if I can justify that. With 7 colors though, without having to change, that's impressive. David Walton, you still need the AMS to switch colors. Yeah, I have two AMS 2 Pros, so I would just steal them off my other machines and just print with 4 colors with those instead of the 8 that I have it hooked up to. Um, I spent 74 says 3 printers. Yeah, I guess if you don't get the early bird backers, it's 1,000 each, so you get 3 for 3,000. But what kills me is you're limited to 4 colors. I mean, I don't print in usually more than 4 colors, but they're not fully enclosed like the HUC would be. I would have to get that top thing that goes with it, which is adds another extra $100. So it's uh it's just a dilemma. Like what do we do? Um, I wish I could get both. That'd be great. Ideally, I get both of them, but maybe someday we'll be popular and we'll get them sent to us and we can play with them on the live streams with you guys. But we're doing cool things. If you guys didn't see any of our posts this past week, we are getting ready to, or I am getting ready to film the SCADA series for um, the channel, which I'm gonna start. Episode 1 will be the basic. Okay, here's a SCADAS panel. Why is it cool to be 3D? Why is it cool for 3D printers? People who like to 3D print in the hobby, um, or people who like to do art fairs and stuff like. Why is this the most versatile or one of the most versatile things that you can do? Let me catch up with some of the comments. We will see what Prusa does with the Core 1. It looks like 7 ID index print nozzles that switch. Is the Core 1 supposed to be cheaper than the uh, Bamboo H2C? Or, yeah, H2C. I gotta make sure I don't get that backwards. They will adapt them AMS, MMM. This could get interesting. Uh, yeah, so where we're at now, I mean, obviously we're not monetized or anything of the nature, so we just have to really be careful with where we put our funding for what machine at this point. Um, so it's an important decision for us. So like, where do we go when we back this, the Frozen Arco? It was an important decision for us then. We're like, okay, we definitely want something with a bigger build plate. We definitely want something that's multicolor. And at the time, this was the only option to back. So we backed it, and we're very, very happy with it. And uh, aside from the delays, obviously none of the backers were happy about that. But I think that at the end, we got a quality machine. Uh, and I think we're going to be more than happy with it, especially since it's advertised that we're going to be able to do 8 colors. I don't know how they're going to work that yet, but I'm interested to see on how they do that. I would imagine that the Prusa, David says, I would imagine that the Prusa will be less than the H2D, but smaller build plate, just cool color changes. Uh, yeah, that's another thing. Like with the U1, it's 270 millimeters by 270 millimeters, I believe, which is not that much bigger than the uh, P1Ss that we have. So would I be just trading up to the uh, the U1, but I don't know. Okay, so the U1, I don't know their interface. I don't know what their slicer program is going to be like. I have exposure to the Bamboo ecosystem and uh, Bamboo Handy app, so that's a pro for me on that side. So it's just what is it going to line up to be? And I'm trying to wait till the last minute. And I know I'll probably pay a couple $100 extra since I didn't back the U1. Um, but I really want to see what that price point comes in for the H2C. If it can come, I can't make any promises, but if it can come at a price point decent enough for us, we'll look into it because it has the capabilities to print that much bigger. Uh, I know the build plate gets weird when it does the nozzle switches, but I think the bare minimum is 300, which is what this build plate is. It's 300 by 300. So that's a huge upgrade from 256. I believe it's 256. Yeah, 256. So it's, and if you'll be able to change it a little bit because of the way, if you print with certain colors on certain sides, it should be fine. Um, They're Iceman 74. When you say they are going straight to Orca Slicer, which is good, do you mean the U1 is going straight to Orca Slicer? U1 is supposed to use. David says U1 is supposed to use a flavor of Orca Slicer. You are right. You are upgrading from a current build size for less purge at a fraction of other tool changers. Yeah. I don't know. I might have to rely on you guys to let me know how those U1s turn out because that's important for us. We want to be I mean, our ultimate goal is to be, one of the um, platforms people can go to and check out the newest printers and be like, hey, Ken, what did you think about this printer? Uh, so right now we have to be a little picky and choosy on where we allocate our funds to. But if I can get 256 cube printer, then I can multi-color fast. I am all in. Yes, Bamboo spoiled us with fast prints. Now we need fast color. I agree, David. Bamboo did spoil us with fast prints. If you just have one color, you're just zipping right along. He's been 74 says, I'm a super early bird backer. Hopefully it goes good. Yeah, that's something else I worry about. Those early backers. I mean, they're kind of the beta testers. They're like, okay, these are the first machines that come out. When they finally do come out, yeah, you're paying the $300 or whatever it is more, $799, so $201 more. But it's already been tested and you know what the bugs are. So you get the early machine at a lesser cost. It's just the trade-off. I'm super excited for that U1 system. I hope it does really well because I know it has garnered a lot of backers. So it may wind up being that all the companies go to Kickstarter and say we have printers we want to try out. I don't know. Um, I'd be curious to see what Frozen's experience was with Kickstarter. I know their backers were a little nervous with all the delays, but as far as I'm concerned, we got a quality printer out of it. I haven't had any issues outside of my own user errors. Not even a clogged nozzle that wasn't my fault. So I did notice that when I took the printer off to change the nozzle out, the system in there looks a lot different than the other two machines that I run, or two types of machines. Dave Walton, the discount is the beta test fee they gave you. That's funny. True, I was the early backer of the P1S, still have the first unit zero issues, and just now dusty. Dang. Yeah, the Only issues that I have with the PO1Ss are just things that you can print upgrades for. So like with the PTFE tube and the buffer, you just got to print the upgrade that makes it go in there straight. Um, when the tube bends into the thing, I just got to print that upgrade that the tube has a better filament path, less resistance. David Walton. Frozen seems to have delivered a solid classic printer. Let's see where they go with this. Hopefully not like Inkermake where they just drop out. I don't think they're going to. Uh, I don't think they're gonna just drop out of this. I think that they're testing to see what the interest is. I think they're seeing all the other companies, uh, Bamboo, Elegoo. I mean, especially Elegoo because Elegoo is heavy in the resin world like Frozen is, and they're seeing what the market is for them in this, what the market share is for them. And I think they're gonna take what they learned from this, and they're going to improve. And the next, whatever printer they release next, I think they're gonna get in early enough to where they'll be able to make their own tool changers. And I hope that they keep the flying gantry, just close up those holes around the Z-axis. And I think that's gonna be where they go next. I don't know. I'm not in their uh, research and development team, but they did make a very quality classic printer on this with a little bit of twist with the flying gantry. I like the center of gravity on this machine. I do not whatsoever get the same wobble out of this machine as I do with these other ones that raise the bed up. If they learn anything from this machine, I would hope that they take that and go with it with the center of gravity stationary. That's huge. I'll probably be printing with this machine for a very long time, as long as it continues to function. Uh, it's especially even with just the AMS or the, what do they call, there's the chroma kit. For the chroma kit, even if I'm just printing one color, I can at least put 4 spools of it and it just keeps going. That's one of the benefits about, even if you don't need to print in multicolor, these multi-filament roll systems, having to not have to swap out filament when you go to the next roll is nice, because then I don't have this. What happened with this print head or this headphone holder happened, unless it's my fault. It can just go to the next color and there's no interruptions, no lost print time. If you're just now joining us, we're printing with the Phrozen Arco, our newest printer. We also got the chroma kit in, or not the chroma kit, but the Pentashield in. So we installed it over, I think we got it, got here Monday, so we installed it last night. So we got that installed, and we didn't have any issues like some of the other backers have had with the screw holes not being tapped. It went together really simple. If you do have an extra person to do it with, I would suggest that, because when it comes to the back panel and the top, it's a little bit difficult if you don't have an extra set of hands, just because how big it is and how awkward it is to move. Couple of things to note when you go to put your door on. Put your hinges and get it all on there. Close the door as best you can. Loosen your hinges just a little bit. Don't unscrew them all the way, and adjust your door so it closes to your preference. That's what I did, and I would recommend you do that. Just don't loosen it to where it falls off and your glass door breaks. But also, more importantly, after you install your Pentashield, I'm so excited for that chroma kit. After you install your Pentashield, please do a bed leveling. If you don't, you'll have the issue what I did, where I ruined a nozzle. It scraped the build plate when I started my next print. Took all where the print was going, took all the texture off of it, and then it also ruined the nozzle. So I'm down a nozzle. I got 2 left. I got the engineering one, and then I'm on the high flow one right now. So make sure you are aware of that. And there was something else. What is it else is there? Oh, when you go to put your back panel on, If you can't find the other connector for the fan or the, I think it's NAF, or the NAF connector, you'll see one, but the other one is tucked up into the machine. So take your flashlight out, or I used my phone flashlight and got up in there and I saw it and I pulled it out. But other than that, I'm very impressed with it. It's a very sturdy machine. We're printing with PLA right now because we're making sure that nothing's changed, that we can still use the full build plate without any lifting. And then we're going to go back and try our luck with PETG now that we have a fully enclosed printer, or enclosed printer, because we print with PETG all the time on these machines, and they're all enclosed, and I don't have any issues with it whatsoever. The only difference between the two, outside of this being a new printer, is it wasn't enclosed at the time that we tried PETG. We got one type of PETG to stick. That was Elegoo Rapid PLA or PETG White, and that was no problem. But like our Strong Hero 3D PETG, our Sunlu, eSun, none of those wanted to stick to the build plate. So we're gonna try this out. I hope, I don't know if there is one right now, but I'm really hoping that Big Tree Tech will make one of their Glacier, or it's either Glacier or Frostbite, whichever one is the stickiest one, the 300 millimeter size for this printer. That would be epic, because that would make bed adhesion that much easier. Do you guys have any questions about the Pentashield? I know you dropped some in the comments earlier. Hopefully I answered them. If I didn't, drop them in there again, and I'll try to answer them a little better. Uh, it's it's very, 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 very uh, sturdy. That's the best word I have for it. I didn't expect to have something this sturdy shipped to me. I thought for sure that this was going to be some sort of like casted plastic, but this is all metal. The panels are metal. The only thing that's not metal or glass are the side panels. Those are acrylic. Havoc prints. So a 300 Voron plate won't work. Let me check. I thought the Voron plate was a little bit big. I'll check again. Big tree tag. I'll check that out, and if it does work, then I will order one and get it on here. All right, we want products. We want build plates, drive motor, LCD control board. Under heat bit, I bet. Yeah, so I need for, you said it was for the Voron. Let's see what they got. Okay, so I do see that the 300 millimeter by 300 millimeter by 300 millimeter K1 Max they have for it. They also have 300 millimeter by 300 millimeter for the KD Plus 4. It looks like the KD Plus 4 is a traditional square. I'll put that in the chat for you guys. Hopefully it's not too long for me to put in there. Nope. So it looks like you guys can give me your opinion on that. I'll put it in a poll. That look like it, oops, does it look like that would fit the build plate area correctly? Well, that's not bad either. $30 is actually pretty good for a build plate, I think. Um, because it looks like it's the right shape. Obviously, square, we need it to be square. There's no weird cutouts in it or not. Gotta sneeze. Sorry, guys. Ooh, excuse me. Uh, so it looks like I think that's going to be the right one. Because if you look at the K1 Max, it's got those weird triangles cut out of it. I'm going to try ordering that, and if you guys think that would fit. Plus, it makes time lapses look nicer. I've noticed that for my other printers. It'd be the first modification I made to this printer too. I'm not sure. The front of the build plate shouldn't be any sort of an issue like how far it sticks out because there's plenty of clearance there for the Frozen's cut out that sticks out. It's the frostbite that I would want. Oh, maybe not. The frostbite has got that. So I think the glacier texture works good, but I don't know about the frostbite texture because the frostbite. No, I think the frostbite should work too. Let's see if Amazon has a better picture. Yeah, so I don't think the frostbite plate's gonna work for the Key 4 Plus or Plus 4, just because of the shape of it. It's got those tabs on the left and right, and I'm not sure if those tabs would interfere with. Let me take a look at this front of this. Yeah, the build plate's slightly lifted, or that riser slightly lifted, so I would have to get the frost glacier one, which is fine. It's still gonna help with the adhesion. Amazon wants $50 for it. Dang, cheaper to get it from Big Tree Tech. Cutouts are just locating pins on the K1s. I'd be worried that the cutout section for the K1, that little triangle section, would be where if I wanted to use the entire build volume of the printer, it would try to print in that triangle area that doesn't have a build plate section. So I think I would get the Key 4 Plus. It's weird. So let's see if yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get the, see if it has it. Yeah, it looks like the only one's gonna work is gonna be the Cryo Grip Pro Glacier. And even that one's got the tab in the back for the guide. Oh, no, it doesn't. No, we're good. Okay. So I'm thinking that would be the only one that would work because it's square all around except for the front section. Hi, Momo. How you doing, buddy? Well, it's the Kitty plus 4, and then it's also the Voron 300. So you are correct. Who said it said that? Uh, Havoc. You are correct that I do believe that the Voron 300 plate may work. It's just we'd have to see. Hi, Momo. We'll see if the Pet G can adhere to the standard build plate first. That's the test I would want to do first. We'll do that next week, or I'll do it offline next week, so that way you guys can see it printing. See if I can get it figured out, so that way I'll have a solution for you guys when we get on next week. We still got plenty of time left on this live stream. We got about 25 minutes, but we're doing pretty good. We've got, looks like half of the bins printed. It should be close to 50%, I would think, on the indicator on the front. If you're just joining us, we got our Pentashield in this week. We're super excited about that. This thing was super. I also forgot to tell you guys that we did get our 4 rolls of refills. I'm guessing that they sent the refills with the Pentashield because the spools that we're supposed to get are going to be inside our chroma kits when we get them. Bamboo sends their spools the same way. If you get a AMS, you get the spools with it. So I think we're going to get those there. So that's exciting to see. But we got our Pentashield. We've got it going. I have not heard the fan kick on for the back yet. I've not seen it kick on. I'm guessing that's because I haven't updated the latest firmware. So we'll get that taken care of offline. I'm going to make sure when I say the latest firmware, I don't want it to be 1.7.9 because that firmware is for the chroma kit when it gets here. Printer says 47%. All right, we're pretty close to half. I'm glad the camera quality is good enough to see that now. We've come a little ways since we first started the live stream. We're going to keep improving. David says, I hope others start to follow the bamboo refill size. Sunlu seems to have done it. Yes, they have. Their spools are almost, I love you, Momo. Their spools are almost identical. I don't know if I have. I have some empty Sunlu ones, but they function. I'll show you guys. They function almost identical. Oh yeah, I got 2. I've got a. No, that's not a bamboo one. But here's gonna be a Sunlu one. And oh yeah, I have a bamboo one over here. It's got a bunch of old filament on it. I would have to say that these are pretty identical. The holes on the sides are a little bit different, but I don't think that matters. But here, side by side, here's a Sunlu versus a. Oh, I get all the kitty cats. Come on, we'll get down. Get down, guys. Come on. Thanks for showing up for camera. So side by side by side, you have, here is a bamboo and here is a Sunlu filament spools. You could probably say that the bamboo might be just a hair less than a millimeter thicker in this section, but they function essentially the same. This filament's been sitting around for a while. Let me get this out of your guys' way so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to close the printer door a little bit too so you guys can see better. Scoot over here. Something that I'll test out while you guys are on here. Thanks for dropping that in the comments, David. So that's how the new Sunlu spools work. They twist and unlock. I'm not too worried about this amount of filament. It's old filament. So twist and unlock. Now what I want to try is do these two interlocking. It does not appear that the locking mechanisms are the same. I don't think. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not doing it right. If the locking mechanisms that are saying, that'll be interesting. No, it does not look like they are. But what it does give me an idea of is they are almost the same height. So they are getting it done over at Sunlu. And this is a bamboo roll of filament. We should be able to swap this right over to this guy. Nope, not gonna happen. But you can see their RFID tag in there. But they are pretty much the same when it comes to height. I mean, there's a hair's difference, but they're getting it figured out. I would say they're just as sturdy. So they are getting it figured out over at Sunlu. David says, but the bamboo spool should fit the Sunlu. You're talking about the refills? We can test that out right now. I've got some bamboo refills. This is a bamboo. I don't remember what color green it is. Maybe it's like apple or PLA basic. I think it's like apple green or something like that. So what David says is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, David, this bamboo refill should fit on this Sunlu refill or spool. So let's try it out. If I can get it to unlock again. There it goes. So let's get this green opened up. The only thing I think that Sunlu would be able to do a little bit differently is, I don't know, maybe they can figure out an RFID system that would work with these AMSs that are out there. So it looks like Bamboo kept their cardboard spool on there, so we're going to keep that on there. Should lock on there. Yep. Looks like it locked on there pretty good. I got to switch it a little bit here, though. Looks like I didn't get some of the teeth in there together before I say it works completely. Glad I could do this on the live stream for you guys, demonstrate this to make sure they work. So they should go together. I'm gonna say maybe not. Oh wait, did I get it down there far enough? It's a tight fit, that's for sure. So I'm gonna say no, because I can't get the teeth to lock in. And it's because of the distance. It's like ever so slightly too big. the roll. Now let's try on a bamboo roll I have over in the box here. I need a blank one. So I got a blank one here. That is a bamboo roll. Now if the bamboo doesn't fit a bamboo, we got problems. I thought I saw something from Sunlu too that the bamboo should fit on here too. I'll try one more time. So I don't, this was in the way too. So I don't want to be the bearer of false advertisement. And this is a Gen 3 spool for sure. Okay, that clipped on there. It's like ever so slightly too wide. The roll is. And I just got this bamboo filament yesterday. I mean, it fits, but it's tight. Yeah, I can say it works. It's just, it's not going to be as easy as what it would be with this one. So it's on there. It's not going anywhere. We're good. But you saw how tough it was with that one. Take that off there. It's not it. So this is the actual bamboo spool. You saw how easy that one was. I still missed a tooth though. Maybe it's just me. Should just lock it on there. And this is a PLA basic roll, so it should be the same one. So we should get. Oh, there is a certain way you got to put them on there. I see where the teeth line up now. So right here. Nope. Sorry, guys. I thought I had this down pat. I would have thought that this would have just clipped in too. Why is it being so difficult? So both of them are difficult. Chalk it up to live streaming, but they both work on each system. So they must have figured out the dimensions of this, and they're both just tight. Just got to make sure you get your teeth locked in there. There it goes. No, maybe not. So, anyways, there's a set of teeth that you have to get locked into it. If it doesn't lock in, your spool will come unraveled. Didn't realize this was going to be so difficult. I guess it's easier on the bamboo roll. Look for the notch to make it easier. So this should be the notch. There it went. Okay. Thanks for that tip, David. It does make it easier. We're good to go. So it's going to be the same thing on the sun loose spools. You got to find the notch on here. You guys, sorry, that must have been painful to watch. You got to find the notch on here, and then they align properly. They are different mechanisms, but they still work together. So there's the answer to that question. Doing good. So now this is where you got a new roll on it there. Apple green, I believe is what the color is. I do a lot of our dinosaur prints with that. And we just did Grinch for Christmas coming up. One side of the spool holder and the spool have a notch to lock it so you can twist the other piece. You know what? That's funny. There's an arrow. There's an arrow that says, here, silly. That's where you should start. I appreciate that, David. Would have taken me several years. And I must have still not done it right because my arrow for one side is on the opposite side of the arrow from the other side. So it's together, but I did it wrong. Oh, it does look yellow on camera. Yeah, it's because, again, if you haven't seen one of our earlier live streams, any of our yellow filament for whatever reason, or even our lime green, apparently, they look different because of the blue walls we have here in the studio. I didn't see if that was Sunlu nice enough to put notches too. They sure are. So they also have notches. Let's see how well this turns out for me. Notch, notch. And this is what this channel is all about, guys. We get to teach each other things. So that's cool. Yeah, there's the notch. Okay, so now I will be able to put my Sunlu spools and bamboo spools, and I have Elegoo refills too. I'll have to see if they work on here too. Now I'll be able to put them together with a little bit more ease. I appreciate that tip, David. And both, I can verify in person that both spools have that notch on them. It's like a little arrow indicator. For those of you that are watching, have you guys printed or have any experience with printing things for the SCADAS panels from IKEA? That's what we're going to be doing in an upcoming segment. There won't be live streams, but there'll be videos that you'll be able to watch for content review. They'll probably be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes long. So that way, the goal of that series is going to be how does SCADAS help organize your 3D printers? How does it make life easier, more efficient? And then we'll take that to the next level. Okay, what else can we add to the SCADAS to make life more efficient for the printers? We'll add the B-roll system, the shelving system. There's a cart version of that as well, to where you can put your printers on a B-roll workbench cart, and instead of them being stationary like this, if you need to move them, clean them around, things like that, you can put the printer on the cart. And then we'll take that to the next step eventually. This will be like a 13 or 14 episode series that we're planning on doing. Okay, so what do we do with the cart? And now that we have the B-roll system, okay, then we can use our Gridfinity system to combine this and make a triad. And how do we can use it not only in our maker section of our 3D printing, but how can we also use it for our artisan fairs that we go to? How can it be more useful for others? And then we'll take it a final step further to where we'll make our command center, our mobile printing center, out of the utility trailer that I have. So it's a covered utility trailer, and that'll be like our grand finale for that season 1 of Scatus Prints. We are up to 48%. Oh, yeah, I can see it on the screen now. As you can see, they're doing pretty good. So when I print these on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon, they definitely go faster, or the printer head goes faster. So I think at some point in time they'll probably release an update for the Phrozen Arco to make that happen. I use the same filament profile. I use the Sunlu PLA profile, and so that shouldn't be an issue in Orca Slicer. So I think I could probably manually adjust it, but I want to see if it happens naturally over upgrades. But it does print very nice. I don't have any lifting on the corners. I'm printing with the door open, so there is a little bit of ambient environment factor involved. When I go to do Pet G, I'll probably print with the door closed first and see what happens with that. And if we get a successful print with that on our non-live stream time, I'll give it a test print with the door open and see if it causes a fail. And if it doesn't, then I'll see if I can't get our next live stream to have with a Pet G print with the door open on it. So you guys can see that in action, that we're doing good. I'll probably do these same bins in Pet G black. I'll start with a smaller bin to make sure it functions. Probably one of the 3x4 bins that K2 Kevin has got out there. This print has been going for about, I want to say 17 hours. So it's been a minute. I think the overall the print takes about 2 days because we're maxing out. I probably could have fit one more bin on the build plate, but I didn't want to. Well, no, I don't think I could have because it'd have been close. I might have been able to fit one front to back, but we're gonna max out the build plate there and make sure that we're getting good bed adhesion from basics, since we added something new to the equation. This when your guys' Pentashield came in, was it like your printer? Did it just show up on, like for me it showed up on my PayPal notifications that, hey, you got something coming in the mail from Frozen? I'm like, a day before it got here. So just to recap, we got our Pentashield in. We got her installed with a couple of hiccups. Turned out great. We got our headphone holder from last week to print successfully. Turned out beautiful. Thank you, Crafty Kid 3D, for designing this file. I did shrink it down to 85% because even at 100%, it was still too big for this printer. So, but this is all one print. And turned out very good. If I had not had my flub up with the filament. I wouldn't even had a single line in it. That turned out great. This was the fail from the previous week. We'll turn this, maybe I'll use like a heat gun and turn this into like a candy bowl or something for Halloween. But we got those printed. We're printed out a couple Gridfinity bins to test out the Frozen Arco after that. Then we got the Pentashield. Now we're restarting those tests and we're going to get this going. We'll get some PETG on here for next week. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for our upcoming SCADA series that we're going to be recording here next couple weeks. We'll get that first episode out and we'll get continuing ones out. First one will be a little bit basic. We'll do our SCADA panels. What is a SCADA panel? Why is it important for 3D printing? Why does the community embrace this so much? Here's a couple of pieces that we find useful. The next one will be about fun things and we'll take it from there. So if you haven't checked us out on Patreon, you can support us on over there. You can check us out on Facebook. We do have an Etsy shop if you're interested in some of the things that we do 3D print. If you're just tuning in to check us out. So we'll see you again in a week for the next Wednesday Print Pretzels with the Frozen Arco. So until next time, be glorious.